Hello, scholars. This is our second video for week 6. We're going to talk more about shapes. So on Monday, I kind of introduced you to some of the attributes of shapes and went over key terms like side, angle, and vertex for vertices if we're talking about more than one. Then I asked you to go around your house and do a shape hunt. And you should have had a chart that looks something like this. And you drew and labeled the different shapes you saw. So my example was a post-it. So I had my square here and I put post-its. Post-it, and then we said it was a square. Now, one of the things I asked you to think about was which type of shape did you see the most, and why might this be? So did you see a lot of shapes with 3 sides and 3 angles? Did you see a lot of shapes with 5 sides and 5 angles? Or did you see more shapes that had 4 sides and 4 angles? Shout out your answer now. Thank you. So you probably found more 4-sided shapes with 4 angles in them than any other shape. We remember that 3-sided shapes are triangles and 5-sided shapes are pentagons. So we probably found more 4-sided shapes. Why might that be? Well, there's tons of different 4-sided shapes. All together, we call these quadrilaterals. So if you look at this chart, here's some 4-sided shapes. We have the kite. We have a rhombus. Now, if I tilt it the other way, some people might know it as the name diamond. We have rectangles. Hiding below this video is a square. There's parallelograms, trapezoids, darts. So there's many different kinds of shapes that have 4 sides and 4 angles. Since there's so many of them, it makes sense that we probably saw these shapes the most often. Not to mention, this shape seems to be a little bit more practical, right? A table in the shape of a triangle, while really neat and awesome, might not be as practical as a table in the shape of a rectangle or a square. So quadrilaterals, they are 4-sided shapes. Now, what defines each type of quadrilateral? So what makes a diamond or a rhombus different than a rectangle? What makes a kite different than a parallelogram? Well, some of the things that make it different are the number of sides, the number of angles, the length of sides, and the types of lines. So in a quadrilateral, the sides and the angles are always the same, right? We know it's going to have 4 sides, 4 angles. We're really looking at the length of the sides, how long they are, and the types of lines that they have. Up here, you can see examples of parallel lines. Parallel lines means if these lines go on forever and ever and ever, they will never touch each other. So if these 2 lines here keep going up and down, they're never going to cross. They're never going to touch. And that's the same as with these lines and these lines. They're all parallel. They'll never touch each other. These lines down here are intersecting lines because this line and that line have an intersection. They have a point where they cross. So if you think about when you're driving with your parents in the car and you come to the intersection, it's literally because one road is meeting another road, and that part in between we call the intersection. So that's what the 2 different types of lines are. Now, if we look here at our quadrilaterals, we can see rectangles have 4 sides, 4 angles, but these opposite sides are parallel. So if I draw a line and if it were straight, they will never touch each other. This line from this side and the line from this side are never going to intersect. They are parallel. They'll go on forever. But they are, in a rectangle, these 2 opposite sides are the same length as each other. The same is true here. This line and this line are parallel. They're never going to touch each other. But this side is the same length as that side. And that's what defines a rectangle, right? This trapezoid up here, well, this line and that line are parallel. They'll never touch. But these lines, if I keep continuing them up, they're going to intersect. So that's how a trapezoid is different than a rectangle. Yes, they all have 4 sides. Yes, they all have 4 angles, but this one has lines that intersect. Same with the dart. If I draw this line going here and here, you can see they've already intersected. And this line's going up and up here, and they intersect there. A square. So a square is very similar to a rectangle, except for the square has the added definition or attribute that all four sides are equal. So in a rectangle, to be a rectangle, it just has to have opposite sides parallel. So this side and this side are parallel, and this side is parallel to that side. And the opposite sides have to be the same length. But in a square, opposite sides are parallel and all sides of them are the same length. So, scholars, can you draw a shape based on its attributes? You're going to listen to the clues I give you, and then you're going to try and draw the shape based on the clues. So pause the video now to grab a pencil and a paper if you need to. Okay, here we go, scholars. Your first math riddle. I am thinking of a shape. This shape has four sides. Opposite sides are parallel, and all sides are the same length. It also has four angles. What shape did you draw? That's right, it should be a square because it has four sides. All sides are the same length, and opposite sides are parallel. Now I'm thinking of a shape. This shape has 5 angles and 5 vertices. What shape did you draw? That's right, it should be a pentagon with 5 shapes and, 5 sides, 5 angles, and 5 vertices. Now, scholars, I'm thinking of a shape with 3 sides, 3 angles. What shape am I thinking of? That's right, I am thinking of a triangle. And it is important to note, scholars, that when you're drawing the shapes, if you did not draw your triangle exactly like that, it's okay, because we can have the right angle triangle like this. We can have a triangle that's equal lengths on all the sides. Sorry, doing my best there to draw. You can have one that looks like it's pointing that direction. As long as it's a triangle with 3 sides and 3 shapes, that's fine. Same with the parallelogram. Or sorry, not the parallelogram, the pentagon here. Okay, scholars. So, my last question for you is this. Can a square be a rectangle? Now, this is the definition of a rectangle, right? It is a 4-sided flat shape with straight lines where all interior angles are right angles. They're 90 degrees. And opposite sides are parallel and of equal length. So these two red sides are opposite from each other. They are parallel and their length is the same. These blue sides are opposite each other. They are parallel and their length is the same. If that's how we define a rectangle, can a square be a rectangle? Post your answer and your reasoning or your thinking on your class's math Padlet, and be sure to include why you think it can or cannot be considered a rectangle. So please don't write, no, a square is not a rectangle, or yes, a square is a rectangle. Tell me why. I should see the word because in there to support your opinion. Thank you for listening, scholars. Have a great day.